I mean, let's be serious, folks. How many times has Bill Thompson had to make any one of these arguments? My goodness, people, he tried to turn a simple phone survey, which is common, by the way, into a complete violation of the gag order, and then had to eat it when the defense's expert used his own words against him. If you're not concerned for what I'm about to say, then you should be, because whether Bryan Kohberger did this or not is irrelevant. The question everyone needs to be asking is, if Bryan did this, can this man prove it? And if you're not concerned, you should be, and you need to listen to this. So welcome to the point where everything said here is alleged. Please do your own research, form your own opinion, and let me know that opinion, because this is an open discussion channel where we try to be fair. And if more fair coverage on this story and others is something you're lacking, subscribe to this channel and hit that like button down below. Because make no mistake about it, Bill Thompson has an absolute wealth of experience as a prosecutor. In fact, he has over 30 plus years experience prosecuting a wide variety of crimes, except violent crimes. To be specific, you would have to go back 7 years from the time of the Idaho 4 attack to find a case within his jurisdiction that involved a passing. People, that's just a stone's throw away from a decade. And the story surrounding the Idaho 4 case is far more complex than that one. In fact, that particular case involved a spree passing, and they knew the motive right off the bat. And so far, we have no idea what the motive would be for Bryan Kohberger. Now, the Goncalves family can want Bryan Kohberger to burn in hell all day, and they can even guess and speculate that his motive was to make a brutal, raw, impactful statement because no one gave him attention. But that doesn't make it a reality. Think about the story we're being told in the courtroom. How airtight is this case against Bryan Kohberger? The state is claiming on November 13th, Bryan Kohberger left his apartment in Pullman, Washington, turned his phone off or switched it to airplane mode, drove to 1122 King Road, passed away 4 individuals, leaving a sheet behind with his DNA on it, and then drove the long way back to his apartment in Pullman. They claim to have surveillance video footage and cell phone data to back this up. But how well can Bill Thompson address these holes? I'm not asking how well your favorite on-TV prosecutor could handle this case. I'm not asking how well your favorite retired FBI agent could handle this case. I'm asking how well can Bill Thompson, this man right here, address the holes within this case. Don't think like a cop or a lawyer, and don't think what a cop or a lawyer told you to think. Think like a juror. What are the questions a juror would have when hearing this story? Or what are the questions they want answers to? Does Bill Thompson have proof that's Bryan Kohberger's knife sheath? We know that warrants were sent to places like Amazon, but we don't know for sure what they found. We know they wanted to see how many times Bryan Kohberger searched for that particular knife and how many times he placed that particular knife in his cart, which leads me to believe they may not have anything at all. Now that's just speculation. You can feel free to disagree, but that's just how I'm seeing it, based off what's available right now. So in the scenario where they cannot prove Bryan Kohberger went online and purchased that sheath, what answer could Bill Thompson provide? And do you honestly think he's going to out-lawyer Ann Taylor, who, by the way, has won the vast majority of these hearings? Is that really Bryan Kohberger's DNA? According to law enforcement, the sheath found at the crime scene had DNA on it, but they couldn't get a hit and code it, so they sent it to Courtroom, which is where we got SMP-1 and SMP-2. Then that sheath makes its way up to the FBI, where they use investigative genetic genealogy. People, that is a lot of hands, that is a lot of movement, that is a lot of ways this thing could go down sideways. There's a lot of opportunity for error within all that movement. So was that DNA collected properly, and was it stored properly? Can they show a complete chain of custody on that sheath? Can they show everywhere it went, who touched it, who shipped it, who opened it, who tested it, what tests they did, when did it go back into the container, and when did it leave that particular place? If there is just one error within that chain of custody, that's just about game over. And keep in mind, in terms of evidence gathering, Moscow Police Department doesn't have a wealth of experience either. If I was a juror on this case, I would want to see that sheath as it was found. I would want to see either body cam footage or pictures taken of that sheath as it was found the moment it was found. So were body cameras on? Did they actually take a picture? I think a big one for a potential juror, and certainly the biggest question to me, is do they have any other DNA left at the scene? Let's all stop pretending like that's not an issue. Now, if they don't, and we don't know that they do yet, who do you honestly think has more experience making that type of argument in court? The man who spent 30 plus years charging kids with DUIs and Grand Theft Auto, or Ann Taylor? one of the few DP certified public defenders in the state of Idaho. And a lot's been made about the surveillance footage pertaining to this case. Law enforcement wants everybody to believe that's Bryan Kohberger's car. So of course a juror is going to want to see some type of proof that that is Bryan Kohberger's car. Is there a sticker that identifies it? Do they have pictures of the license plate? Are we all for sure betting that was 100% Bryan Kohberger's car? That for sure is his vehicle? And the knee-jerk response from a lot of people is going to be yes, absolutely, the state said so. And if you think so, that's fine. I just have one quick follow-up question. If those camera shots were so clear, why did they get the year of the vehicle wrong? Because the year of the vehicle they put out in that initial press release was absolutely incorrect from what Bryan Kohberger drives. So is Bill Thompson going to be agile enough mentally to answer that particular question in court? Does he have some sort of response that can explain why the FBI got this identification wrong? He needs to have an answer prepared for this. Simply saying, trust me, I'm the prosecutor, isn't going to work here. And Taylor, for sure, I can guarantee it, 100% will bring this up at trial. You, Mr. Law Enforcement, you identified this vehicle. You identified this vehicle as this particular year. My client's year vehicle is different from what you said. And to take it just one step further, Cy Ray has already made a claim that one of the images law enforcement is trying to say is Bryan Kohberger's vehicle is not his vehicle. This crime didn't happen in some sort of major city where the prosecutor has a load of experience. I'm asking you, is Bill Thompson ready for this? Think about that for a second. His cell phone was either off or in airplane mode according to the state. Does Bill Thompson have proof he turned that phone off or switched it to airplane mode? And if he doesn't, does he have a valid explanation? Bryan purchased some sort of Faraday bag. He put his phone in the bag and that's why it didn't send any signal. And by the way, here's the proof of purchase for that particular item. He is going to have to prove something as to why that phone wasn't sending signals between his apartment in Washington to 1122 King Road. Because cell phones just don't magically stop sending signals. Something has to happen to that phone physically to make it stop sending a signal, or something has to happen to the network. And I am sure you are all aware that there was something wrong with the network that night. I mean, let's be serious, folks. How many times has Bill Thompson had to make any one of these arguments? My goodness, people, he tried to turn a simple phone survey, which is common by the way, into a complete violation of the gag order. And then had to eat it when the defense's expert used his own words against him. If what we want is justice, which is what we do on this channel, we have to wonder how capable is this man right here. I'm not trying to make the case or raise the question that he's incapable or inexperienced. But he may very well be the most experienced inexperienced prosecutor when handling these types of cases. The defense has plainly said, on the record, there is no connection between our client and the victims. And Bill Thompson said nothing. Not that he had to, but if this is the guy, Bryan Kohberger is a young man who robbed this world of 4 innocent, beautiful, productive souls, then you gotta fight, man. Those families in that community don't need a lamb, they need a lion right now. I mean, honestly, folks, what is this big play here? Is he gonna slap Bryan Kohberger's internet history up on the screen and say, this proves this is our guy? He happened to look up Ted Bundy. He was obsessed with these types of crimes. He looked up how to remove DNA from a crime scene. He looked up how to make your cell phone not detected by law enforcement. What else is the guy going to look up? He's a criminology major. How on earth will this man make that argument? Once again, I'm not talking about some big city talking head that's always on TV. That's one big cases. I'm talking about Bill Thompson. A juror's going to want to see some sort of connection. If your argument right now as a viewer is he did it, that's fine. This is an open discussion channel. You are allowed to be certain. But I'm not asking you if you're certain Bryan Kohberger did this. I'm asking, are you certain this man right here, who will be making this argument, can prove this crime? He can out-lawyer and out-maneuver Ann Taylor. That's what I'm asking. I mean, Bill Thompson is clearly not winning the favor of the Goncalves family. So can he win this case? A case that has a lot of holes. A case that has a lot of questions. Because actions speak louder than words. And his actions throughout a lot of these hearings just seem uncertain to me. I mean, honestly, at times he seemed like he was lost. And Judge Hippler's not going to save his butt here. I don't care what the headlines say. His demeanor might be different from Judge, and he's certainly more decisive and quick with his rulings, but he will make the same rulings Judge would. He will make it according to the law. And I'll tell you what I saw during that hearing was a judge who enjoyed a legal argument. He enjoyed legal discussion. At one point during that last hearing, he asked the prosecution, "What else do you got to say? I've read your motion. Aren't you going to go into any depth like the defense did?" And the prosecution just stood there looking uncomfortable. Has Bill Thompson made any good arguments lately? Let me know down below. Y'all be safe now.